Just stepping back a little bit from the current situation with Israel and the Palestinian territories, we reported over the weekend that your envoy in the region has been basically telling both sides that they need to start thinking about what a peace process might look like after this happens. And I'm just curious whether the president is willing to invest himself in being a broker in that kind of a process, and whether you're starting to think about what that might look like.
Well, Trevor, I think it's clear to everyone who's been a part of and covered or been a part of, I was at the State Department back in 2014. We all know that the only way to bring an end to violence, to bring an end to this escalation of violence, is for there to be a two-state solution over time. And in both calls the president made this weekend, he underscored his strong commitment to a negotiated two-state solution as the best path to reach a just and lasting resolution of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. But in terms of what that would take, or what form and what it would look like, it is going to require both parties wanting to engage in that and wanting to have a discussion about the path forward. And who would be the point person from this end? We're certainly not quite there yet. It will be up to both parties to decide if they want to move forward on that pathway.
Okay, and then just one more question on that subject, which is what would be the value in making a case for a ceasefire from your standpoint, and would you do that?
Well, let me first say that what's most important is that we all share. The United States shares with a range of countries around the world, those who have been outspoken at the UN, our partners and friends in Europe, a commitment and a desire to bring an end to the violence. And how we are approaching this is through the prism, again, of what steps can we take, what actions can we take behind the scenes. We've had over 60 calls in the past week from the president on down with senior leaders in Israel, the Palestinian Authority, and across the region. And how can we bring an end to the violence through our relationships in the region, both with the Israelis and the Israeli government, and also with key other partners, whether it's the Egyptians, the Qataris, and other key countries in the region. So that is how we are approaching it from the United States. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. I want to ask that in the inverse. Why not? What is the value in not calling for a ceasefire right now, given many of those countries that you just listed, our close allies, France, UK, Egypt, Jordan, have done so, are doing so?
That is true, but the role we are playing, the action, the prism we are making all of our decisions through is how can we help bring an end to the violence and bring an end to de-escalate the situation on the ground. And our calculation at this point is that having those conversations behind the scenes, weighing in with our important strategic partnership we have with Israel, also with other countries in the region, is the most constructive approach we can take. So our approach is through quiet, intensive diplomacy, and that's where we feel we can be most effective.
And does the president's assessment from last Thursday still stand that he does not see Israel strikes as a significant overreaction?
Again, I think I noted that the president also had 2 calls over the weekend since Thursday where he conveyed his concerns about the current period of conflict, the lives of Israeli and Palestinian civilians that have been lost, and certainly raised his concern about the safety and security of journalists and others who have been impacted on the ground. So we're not going to give a day-by-day evaluation. I will say that our objective is to, just like it is with other countries and our partners around the world, is to play the role we can play in the most constructive way possible to reduce the violence, to de-escalate the situation on the ground, and a great deal of that is going to be through intensive, quiet diplomacy behind the scenes.
One last question, if I may. You mentioned